Hello, designers. This is Rebecca, and this is your assignment for Plan the Tour Critique. Let's look at the requirements and then we'll get into your submissions. All right, so for this assignment, you were to create designs for an event poster, a quarter bill, and a concert ticket and a VIP pass. So here is the list of your slide deck. You were to include a 24 by 36 concert poster mock-up, and then show me the 24 by 36 concert poster trimmed. The front and back of the single concert bill, handbill design mock-ups, the front and back of the single concert handbill design trimmed, and the 4-up concert handbill, both sides with the bleed marks and printer marks for the printers. Then you were to show me the concert ticket mock-up, which wasn't completely a requirement because I know that those are hard to find, but if you included them, that's great. Also, the concert ticket trimmed, and then the VIP pass mock-up and the VIP pass trimmed, and then your written reflections. You were also to include a the poster by itself on a separate as a separate file. Here it is. Export your poster with your printer marks and the bleeds as a single full page, full dimension 24 by 36 PDF. So just one gigantic page PDF of that poster with the trim lines. Okay, great. Let's get into it. Excellent. First up, I have Myra. So just to let you know, for this part, I'm not opening the giant 24 by 36 files because it makes Acrobat kind of freak out a little bit while I'm also recording, but just know that I have looked at those on the side and you'll be graded accordingly. Okay, great. All right. So here is our poster design mock-up. This is a great mock-up. This one over here, I don't really recommend using too much because of the shadows that are being cast on it. It just sort of interferes with the actual colors and tones and everything of the artwork. So I never recommend mock-ups that cast big shadows or that have like way too many wrinkles and things that distort your work too much, okay? But this one is very good and it looks great. When you end up showing your work in your portfolio, I also sometimes request that you like crop your mock-ups fairly tight, depending on how much work, how much room you have on your, website template or whatever, because then we get to see the work nice and big without outside distractions of the extra things going on in your mock-up. Okay, just your work gets really, like featured. Okay, so here is the trimmed version. And this turned out really great. I love all these textures that you added. This image with the highlight is so beautiful. It's a really cool image. Um, the microphone being higher than the person, I think it's just the angle at which this photo was taken. So, I don't think that's a big deal. Um, there could be an opportunity for more contrast up here. So what I recommend is instead of, I'm just seeing if you turn down okay, so it doesn't really look like for this like paint swatch across the back here that it is that you've turned your opacity down a ton. Uh, but if you did, I would turn it up to 100 and then I do recommend like maybe changing it to white or almost white because you've got some beautiful white down here and that will help balance it a little bit more. I know that you have some white kind of coming in here, but this black text on super white is going to create the highest contrast point of your whole entire composition, and that's going to pull the eye here first. Then our eye might bounce down to this second most contrasty area or the next largest size text, you know? So I just need you to sort of really solidify your information hierarchy just a little bit more. Right now, the whole poster is leaning heavily on the gray side, and when you have a lot of gray in an image, people tend to kind of just pass by it with their eye. So we just need to create a little bit more contrast, both with, lights and darks, and with different size fonts. Okay, so first of all, we know this is the largest font, so this is probably where you want us to look first. Then the next point in contrast, like I mentioned, could be her face, but I do recommend maybe increasing the size of Bitter Core since it's their show, you know. Make that your next largest font size. Right now, it's about the same size as this here, and it's just too close to know which groups of text you want us to look at next. This one's almost competing for second place too because it's a light on a very dark black, you know. So just, make those all clear. So I think that Bitter Core should be the second largest. Um, and then these can be the same size. You're creating enough contrast difference with their text color and background color that those can stay where they are, and then this could stay the smallest. Excellent. All right, that looks great. Okay, 1993. I love it. Okay, and then here's our handbill mock-up. This is a nice mock-up. Great. So whatever changes you make on your poster, make sure you change it on this image too. And then um, the back, yeah, this looks really good too. Good. I think that's good. Maybe increase bitter core because I don't think Thomas and Mack Center is more important than the name of the band, you know? So maybe decrease the size of Thomas and Mack and increase bitter core there. But this is cool. I like your little um, fine print at the bottom. That's nice. All the textures are really great. Just so much fun overlapping. This is so cool. I like the mixing of the paint textures with the scratchy textures too. I think that's neat. Plus that grain that you have going across, it's really good, real gritty. Yeah, great. One more thing that I do see while looking at it at this scale, good work on these, by the way. We'll return to the more technical side of the 4-up in just a second. So you're kind of using the rule of thirds in your composition here as far as if you were to split your document into threes. While you're centering your subject, which is cool, your title right here is falling on the top third about of your canvas. And so consider maybe increasing the size of your figure to take up the bottom 2/3 of the canvas. Right now, her head is falling like right across the center, and there's enough room to scale her up. You know what I mean? Even if you have the bottom of like more of her picture, you could just move her up without scaling her too. That's also an option, okay? All right, great. So now for the concert handbill, for the size that you have here, I want you to imagine slicing this across these lines. So let's see if I can draw this. Sometimes it works with me. Okay, cool. So we have a line here, and then you'll notice that the line, the margin of white between where I just trimmed, and then same here, if I was to slice along this trim line, see how skinny that little margin is between my blue line and your black line. Um, so that's maybe like 1/8 of an inch, right? But then if I was to split these right down the middle to turn these into 4 different handbills, now notice how large that margin is on the sides of these handbills. Those are almost like about a 1/2 inch, right? And then if I was to slice this across the center here, that margin is getting closer to, well, also maybe about 1/8, and then the ones down the sides might be about a 1/16 of an inch or so. I'm just kind of guessing, right? So what you want to do is nudge these guys, these 4, to the middle of each column, if that makes sense. So to the middle of the vertical columns and then to the middle of the 2 horizontal rows. And then that's going to give you even borders on all 4 sides. Um, Maybe not the top and the bottom are not going to be equal to the 2 side margins, but they will at least be equal to each other, and that's fine. So you want the same amount of margin on the top and bottom, and then you want the same amount of margin on the left and the right of each other, okay? So for both of those, you'll just center these 2 graphics to the center of each of those 2 columns and then to the center of each of the 2 rows on both the front and the back, all right? But your trim lines and Everything looks perfect. And I do like that you gave this a stroke. Since you're working with a very light to white background, they would just bleed right out into this white margin, right? So that was a smart idea to stroke that there. Good job. All right. And now, oh, you found a concert mock-up. I mean, a ticket mock-up, so good work. This looks really great. And this mock-up I'm okay with because this shadow is not cast, like across your ticket. It's just like over here on the side. So that looks really good to me. This looks great. I love the texture in the background of the ticket. This is really fun, like the fonts that you used. Yeah, I love it. I love the perforation little mark there. Oh, wait, no, let me say that right. Perforation. Sorry, I'm adding extra syllables. And your barcode looks great. Awesome. Really good. This is good information hierarchy, and I love all the design choices you made here. This like centering all this. It looks very authentic. Really great work. And I love just the two-tone, like the two color palette, basically. It's really cool. Really nice. Good work. Okay. Backstage VIP. This is great. I love it. Excellent. So this one, I mean, the information hierarchy, once again, we have Bitter Core competing with Backstage Pass or with Thompson Mack Center. I'm not like too worried about it. Like you don't have to make any changes here because this isn't like an attention-getting poster or, magazine article. So, but just know that if you wanted to make it super visually clear, you have room to bump this part up, like scale this whole design, including the X in the background. And then I think Bitter Core might be the second most important information. And then Backstage Pass and Thomas and Mack, the third. Okay, great. Excellent. Excellent. I love these textures. This paint looks so cool with like this scritchy background. It's great. So I love the collaging that you did, and your color palette and fonts are completely consistent through the whole project. So that is absolutely fantastic there. Um, Honestly, like I feel like if you're stronger in Illustrator and InDesign, that's fantastic. There's so many people that lean so heavily on Photoshop because a lot of times that was the first program they used or learned on, and then the other two are like a little harder for them to grasp. So I feel like you kind of have an advantage with liking the other two more, and you can do so much in those two programs that you really, like you said, you only kind of need Photoshop for really messing with an image, but I mean, Illustrator has all of the Photoshop filters, or not filters, but effects right in it. So sometimes you don't even have to go over to Photoshop if you don't want to, especially too with same with an InDesign, both of those softwares now that they have like the AI, um, the generate image options and stuff, you could probably do photo editing right there in the software without having to go. Oh, I'm sorry, right there in those two apps without having to jump over to Photoshop. So, and then I'm happy that you were excited to experiment with new things that you'd never done before. That's really one of my main goals with all these assignments is to give you some feeling of what it's like to work with a template or to get things ready for the printers or to get things ready for the web that aren't um, your traditional sizes and projects, because that I know for me as when I was a new designer and I would get asked by a client to do these projects, and I was just like, whoa, I really wish I learned this in school. So just giving you guys at least one shot to like see what that process is like and anticipate it a little bit more is like what I'm really shooting for here. So I'm so happy that you are happy to have that experience. Great work. Thank you so much. Next up is Jennifer. All right. Great. So Jennifer, this is an interesting mock-up. Um, I am I usually recommend having mock-ups that don't cast big shadows on your work at all and that wrinkle them too much. So You might want to find another mock-up that's a little bit more straightforward and that really lets your work, the colors and everything in your work show exactly how they are. And then when you do use a mock-up for your final portfolio for the program, I usually tell my students to really crop in that mock-up like something like this so that all the rest of the mock-up itself isn't kind of overshadowing the hard work that you did. And the smaller you crop it in, the larger we can see your piece. Um, and it's really showcased the most. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's keep looking. So here is the design trimmed. It does look pretty different. Look at the, oop, let me get the blue off of there. Get out of there. Even the color changed a lot in this mock-up, which it does happen in mock-ups. But I don't know, I'm just trying to show you the difference there. Like this whole corner is a different color than this down here. Okay, you get my point. So, I love the texture in the background and all of the smiley faces. All of this overlapping is so neat, and I love your shadow silhouettes use that you're using throughout the album cover and here. It's just like very moody, you know, it's really cool. Um, I love these little hints of color through here. It still stays grungy, uh, even though you're using like a purple. I think the perfect like tones and shades of those colors to still feel grunge, but they're not traditional like earth tone grunge, and I think that's really cool experimentation. All of your fonts look awesome. I love these like bleeding kind of melting together fonts uh, in grunge. I think it's just really cool. And this right here is so David Carson. Love, 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 love. Success. This up here too. Really cool. Good work. Good work. And look at how neat this is. There's like this almost like a watercolor blend here, or like the paper got wet. And then this color shift that happened from it turned from gray to blue is really a beautiful touch. And you can see like this here. Really nice work. I like this cool layout here, like the right align next to the left align and then shifting the two columns so they kind of zigzag. That's really neat. I don't think I've ever seen that before. At least I don't consciously remember seeing that, and I like that touch a lot. I also like you changing the font colors for each line. Ooh, so many little details, Jennifer. I'm freaking out. Very nice work. Let's keep going. All right, so here's our hand build. Ooh, yes, 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 yes. Great mock-up. That's a good one. So this is cool. We have our new silhouette shadows, and these are fun because they're like showing more action and movement and more detail, but this is really great. And then we've got our cool dates down here. Oh, we're even adding in a new typewriter. That's fun. That's great. Helps to, the typewriter sort of helps with your concept, of the paper jam. And I'm just reading what this says here. Cool. So this is like a little lyric right here. So this one, I think it would be nicer, like if you made it, I understand why you made it a gray, because you do have a lot of black everywhere. Like I was wondering if there was a way to make it look like it was just written right on there. You know what I mean? Almost like autographed, but now I'm not sure if I want that. So what I was at first kind of struggling with was like the light ink over the black shadow or darker shadow. Because there's not really like a pen that's that color. Hmm. So I'm wondering if you would consider maybe putting that text on this side somewhere or something. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if we need it. There are a lot of elements in here. I do like the variation, like the contrast in the script versus, all these other um, like heavily bled serifs. I don't know. It is a lot. It's a lot of layering, which is, grungy, but okay. I'm gonna let you play with it. If you want to leave it the way it is, I'm okay with that too. The back looks great. Oops, sorry about that. Very fun. And once again, love that layout. So I think this is a really good idea of what you chose to keep on the front and put on the back. And I appreciate, introducing even some new little graphics. I think that's cool. All right. So the four up is going to be a grid of four of these on one letter size page, and then four of these on one letter size page. So they're only going to be a quarter of the page. Okay. So you can watch other parts of this critique and see, how the other students laid it out, or you can revisit the module and it shows you how to lay it out. Okay. Great. And then here, oh, you found a mock-up, so that's cool. And this is a wrinkly ticket, but I'm okay with it because ticket mock-ups are not easy to come by. So that are the dimensions that you need. I like this perforation on this ticket. That looks really cool. And I think it's all laid out very nicely. I love that you were able to use your smiley face textured background again. And this is a nice touch here. I've seen that on tickets. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think everything looks great. I like your the color choices you made everywhere. It's wonderful. I'm just reading as I'm scanning. That's really good. Happy to see a barcode there. Yeah, wonderful. Perfect. Oh, it's part of the texture. Okay, I get it. Okay, cool. So that is part of the background texture, not part of the mock-up. Okay, well, even better. And then now you have this like fun little smudge coming through. That's great. 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 I love this. I love the handwritten elements of it. We've got our shadows in the background looking really cool, and this sort of double stamp is really neat. Good mock-up too. It's great background color that matches your purple in your jam. It's excellent. I love it. Really cool. There's even like an extra drop shadow there. That's cool. I like this line texture. Excellent work. Great. All right. So I'm glad that you enjoyed laying out the ticket. And you're right. Usually the tickets are just printed out by a machine and not really too much design goes into it. But I think it's important for you guys to like part of this whole thing is emulating a specific style and you being able to see exactly like, oh, it only uses this type of font and it's about this scale and they only use these kind of colors and notice this texture that's in this and you're really getting this whole texture thing from researching printing and like the printing process and when prints fail and this kind of stuff. So and both like whether it is like a Xerox copy or a like a lithograph print, you're really going through all of those options. And so the ticket assignment is like you said, figuring out how to lay this all out in a little tiny puzzle on a tiny little canvas and really emulating digital media and I don't know. So what's cool about it is like seeing you be able to make it look like a computer printed that out, and I think that that is real success. Also, I don't want you to worry about hitting a creative block in this course. You've already come up with all the creative stuff at the beginning of the course. So you're pretty much done as far as I'm concerned with making new things for this campaign. What you're doing is you're just going to be recycling all of the choices you've already made to fit new mediums. So whether that's a t-shirt design, um, a music video, a magazine layout, like you do not need to go in here finding more and more and more photos to manipulate, graphics to come up with, that kind of stuff. You've already built this asset library. So um, in order to keep branding recognizable, you absolutely can't keep going out and getting new things. For a campaign, you want to keep using those same visual assets over and over and over again so that your customers, as soon as they see that thing, they recognize it as being part of your campaign. Okay? So don't push yourself to come up with new ideas. Just please use the same stuff, just in a new format each time. Okay? Great. Next up is Emily. So here's our poster. Good. Nice simple mock-up. Very easy. Great. So I love the textures that you put in here. Really nice. I'm just going to zoom in here. Okay, so um, I love these little star highlights that you have. So with the star highlight, you usually want to touch the letter itself. So go ahead and move it over and place it on the edge of the letter so it's right on it. And then feel free to make it even a little bit bigger, like almost twice the size. This is cute. Uh, and then, yeah, I think that's great. There is a bit of contrast lacking in the text. So I don't know if you would consider, I think that if you made Electric Praise a lighter yellow, same family, just crank up the white in that letter. I mean, sorry, in that color. So not turning it into this tan at the bottom, but making it like a whiter version of this yellow. That will help to create some more contrast there. And then you could balance it by using that same color down here instead of the tan. And that's the only change, really. I mean, I don't really see that you would need to change anything else. If you wanted to, you could play with this pink a little bit. No, unnecessary. Okay. This is getting really close to the background color. It's not, so this isn't going to be like ADA accessible, like visually. Uh, there's just not enough contrast between this color and the background, but the color palette is nice. So maybe you could use this yellow for this text, and then you'd have enough contrast between the two. Everywhere else, the contrast is good. We just need, even though this is nice and huge, and you do have these bright white areas, I think that, let me just zoom back out here. Okay. Um, it would create an even more eye-catching uh, contrast by lightening that up. Okay, great. But the layout is gorgeous. And I love how it's kind of stepping down like this. It's very nice. And we still have, like, we're still within our margin, and that's looking beautiful. This little triple outline here is very cute, and I love all these horizontal rules. The information hierarchy, it seems pretty obvious. I just don't know if you would want Sunkissed Souls to be even larger. I mean, we have our characters nice and large, so there is that. Um, yeah, I think that's good. Okay, and then let's see how your handbills turned out. Great. Okay. All right. So for this one, these are going to be kind of small. So we're going to start losing some of this. Um, no, I guess this is exactly about the size it's going to be when it's printed out. So what you could do is whatever changes you make to the poster, be sure to make to this design as well. On the back, since you already have Electric Praise Tour and I'm sorry, Electric Praise Vegas Tour nice and big on the front, you could get rid of this and put your Sunkissed Souls logo like huge right here. And then it looks like you aren't repeating any other information. So that's great. That's perfect. And this is a really nice touch here. I like how you're chunking your information and separating things visually with all of these little frames and horizontal rules, like very nice choices. It's really good. And then this is such a cute, I like these colored bars. Really fun. I love how this blue bounces off of her eyeshadow and her ring. That's a really fun color balance trick there. That's really great. Nice job, like color composition. Yeah, lovely. Excellent. Okay, good job here. Okay, so on this one, when you export it, I want you to export it showing all the printer marks. So in that export, that PDF export screen, you're going to check that box that says export with printer mark, all printer marks and using document bleeds. And that'll give you the little crop marks on the end and all the little color bars and the registration marks. All right. But the layout looks correct, like your margins look even. So that's a really good job there. Really nice. Great. And then we have our ticket. It's so cute. Really nice. Yeah, and like notice when you highlight these in white, just how our eye goes there first, right? It's going to go to the highest contrast part of the compositions. So it's bouncing from here to here. Even the barcode is like calling for our eyeball attention. So that same thing is going to happen in your poster if you lighten that text a bit. I don't want you to lighten it all the way to white because then you'll lose your sparkle, you know? But yeah, this is all great. I love it. Really good. I love all this little info everywhere, and the layout is really nice. All your font choices are really cool. Great. I'm sorry, back to I just realized something. Um, this part right here, like even though this isn't vital information, um, there's not enough contrast for everybody to be able to read that. So just keep that in mind as you're picking out your text colors and your the background color that you're laying your text on. Okay. Oh, these are so cute. Sorry. Really nice. I love this. This is so fun. This is really fun. Perfect. I love it. It's really cute. Oh, good. I love it. Wonderful. Really nice. Really cute. Good stuff. Perfect. I really like this work too. I From this point forward, I don't want you to feel like you need to keep going in and editing photos that we haven't seen yet. You have a large amount of assets now for this campaign as we move forward that you can go ahead and kind of keep recycling. So don't feel weird about using stuff like whether they're photos or the logos, the font choices, the names of things. That's how we create brand recognition. We just keep using the same stuff over and over again. Sometimes it can get a little boring, like in the real world, but that's how your company gets recognized fast. People have to see things over and over and over again before their brain registers that that's what they're seeing. And so as graphic designers, it's part of us, it's part of our job, like as the marketing team, to use those same assets over and over again to really drive that home. Also, don't be afraid of letting their names be big. That's also how they're going to get recognized. So I think it was a good idea to have the tour be nice and big, because you see that, right, on posters and t-shirts. The tour itself is like the biggest logo or whatever. But their name should be larger than the venue. You know what I mean? We're not advertising the venue, we're advertising the band. And so that's so when you're making your visual hierarchy decisions, just keep that in mind, okay? The people are there to see the fans are there to see the artists, not to go see what the Thomas and Mack Center is like. Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you so much. Next up is Karen. All right. Cool. So with this mock-up, it looks really nice. Uh, for when you put this mock-up in your final portfolio for your graphic design, all of your graphic design work, I usually recommend to really crop these in, around there, so that your work is the largest element. I mean, I guess it is in this mock-up, but you know what I mean? Like I'm not featuring a subway. I'm featuring your poster. And the smaller you crop in, the larger we can see all the details and stuff in your work. Gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Oh, okay. VIP pass mock-up we're jumping to. Great. I like the writing on the ticket number. That's awesome. I think I do want a little bit more info on this, just a heads up. Okay, here's our handbill. Hold on, we're kind of jumping all over. Here we go. Okay, so here's our poster. Another incredible illustration. I love it. It's so awesome. It looks so good with your logo, like all this perspective and the light source, like the butterfly is the light source on the hand is awesome. Really cool. Um, so for the information hierarchy, so chrysalis is the first thing I see. Well, no, my eye when I first look at this goes straight to that butterfly in hand, because it is like this beautiful color contrast and it's like the light source, like we talked about. Then it goes up to chrysalis because that's the biggest text on the page. Then my eye is not sure where to go. I think it wants to go up to Had It Come in Tour. Then it goes up to Live in Concert because that is pretty contrasty. It's like a dark text on a light background. Then down to Baltimore Soundstage. So I'm not sure if that's the order that you wanted me to read the poster. I think that Had It Coming Tour should be the second, obviously largest font. So it is this, I think it is the second largest font, but it's not super obvious because it's not much bigger than Baltimore Soundstage and Live in Concert. It needs to be like between Chrysalis and Live in Concert, like halfway between those. So you have room to make it bigger. You could do a line break here. So it's Had It Come in Tour and just kind of play with maybe like the C is tucking in under the H and um, then your tour is sticking out the back, or you could make it smaller. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things you could do than just writing it all out on one line and having it wrap. When you have a fun font like this, like you could play with maybe the H drops lower below the baseline, or you know what I mean? This is a super fun font, and there's a lot of freedom with that. It also kind of looks like your tracking is very large on it, and I don't think it should be. I think it should be tighter, like where the A is touching the D, where all these little tails, almost like a script font, are touching. And then, yeah, so I'm just trying to think. Uh, you could also even make the word tour just bigger underneath, but overall, like tour right now is kind of an orphan, you know what I'm saying? So I think you need to drop coming to the next line and play with their alignment. So almost like you're making a new logo, but not that time intensive, and then just make it bigger. Um, you could also drop concert down so that you can raise this up so it's more like live in concert for the uh, how did it come into our great. And then I think that you need to specify, is Baltimore Soundstage going to be larger than live in concert by like a visible difference, you know? And I think it should be. I don't think live in concert, I don't think any of this information is like super important. So you could just make this part smaller and leave these the size they are. These can be the same size here. All right, is that enough info for you? Okay, next up. I love this dark background too. I think it really helps with this glow. It's gorgeous. All right. So whatever, if you make any changes on the poster, make it here on the handbill too. And then you could take out this part since you have it over here. So just remove these. Don't worry about the negative space. Embrace the negative space. You could move the graphic lower to that bottom margin, if I don't know what you've drawn here, if you have that, if you have more up here to show or not, but it's not going to be too big if you can move it, cannot move it down. And then however you treat Had It Come in Tour, you could do that over here as well. I like how the back is very simple. Because of this, though, we need to make sure your information hierarchy is totally obvious. And right now, it's not completely because, oopsie, sorry. Okay, because all of this is about the same size font. You see that? And it's pretty close to this size font. So make Chrysalis big, like you have room to go all the way to this 1/4 inch margin on the edge. It can be bigger. That'll give you room to make the Had It Come In bigger. And then whatever proportion difference you create here, make that here. So if Had It Come In is literally half of the height of the Chrysalis text, then do that over here. Then decide, these two can be the same size. Tickets doesn't need to be as big as those. See You There doesn't need to be there at all, but it can. Um, and then, consider you can also put in some, well, I guess it just depends on if you're using it anywhere else, any like visual rules or, I don't know, never mind, you don't need that. Forget it. Okay. But I'm cool with keeping the background black and white. I like that. And then here we have your ticket. Very simple, very easy. We got it all. Nothing, over the top. I think you could, I wonder if you have like a black and white version of this, of the Chrysalis logo that you could put here, but I think you're trying to keep it like authentically 70s, and I'm totally okay with that. They didn't always put the band's logo on there. They just did it in like a big bold serif type like you did. So I think what does need to happen though is the address needs to be closer to Baltimore Soundstage. It almost looks to me like this text is larger than this text, and it should not be. So just, they can be the same size, and sorry if they are the same size and it's just plain tricks on my eyes. But or the address can be smaller, one or the other, but not the name of the place being smaller than the address. Underdog Presents can be a little smaller. Um, and I don't see, oh, never mind. Okay, that's good. All right, great. Beep. So this part, I think you should have the name of the tour on here. And VIP is all capitalized. So have the Had It Come In tour on the VIP pass. And so you're just going to have to figure out how you'd like to put that on there. Okay, great. And you don't need the word pass. It can just say VIP, but you can also still keep pass. I'm just saying if you need the space, you can get rid of the word pass. But your mock-ups turned out really nice. So I don't think the forearms are too long because with your other illustrations, like you have such like an extreme perspective on some of the, your drawings that I think that is just the style that has happened here as well. So don't give yourself too much of a hard time over that because I didn't even notice, and I do notice proportion in bodies and stuff a lot. So don't sweat that. Um, I think you're right. It does kind of read like an announcer introducing it. So that's really cool. And I can see how I totally feel for you on where to lay out the text and get things to fit within the composition. And sometimes you just need to like sleep on it and come back to it, but you don't always have time to do that when you're working on an assignment for a class and you have other stuff going on. So I do get that, but hopefully the notes I gave you will help you really structure that info hierarchy a little bit more obviously. And I think then you'll be really happy with everything. Okay. Great job. Thank you. Next up is Christian. I'm sorry, Kristen. Christian. Okay, here's our mock-up. Okay, so this mock-up it's all right. I think that it doesn't quite look like a poster. It looks more like a flyer. So if you could find a poster that like shows more of its 24 by 36-inch scale, that might be, a better way to really showcase a poster design. Okay. And then here is the poster. Oh, that's cool. I love it. I like the 8-bit a lot. It's awesome. All this work, this Blender work is turning out really cool. And it's neat how like the 8-bit carries on like down here in the reflection. That's neat. Really beautiful. This all looks good. I like these little sparkles on the letters. It's just really great. This font is pretty cool too. So what we are losing is the, okay. I was going to say we don't really have a lot of information hierarchy on this. So what you might be able to do, sorry about the dead air. Okay, would you consider maybe like putting little dots or something to connect these, you know what I mean? And try aligning this column center and aligning this column right, keeping this left align with the dots. Just see how it feels. It's going to make it look more like a rectangle to kind of play off of this shape here, and then just watch where these lines fall. I think that you do have that alignment already, so I think you're good there. And then what I'm wondering is if there's a way to make Arcadium bigger. Like, would you consider maybe putting it here instead, or is that going to screw up your design? Because right now Arcadium is just barely bigger than this text, and I think it needs to be, I mean, obviously besides the A, this part of the text is just a little bit bigger than this, and it needs to be like obviously bigger. So if you could fit it here, the other thing I guess would be to scale down this whole design, like zoom out just a hair so that you do have more space up here, but I just feel like it needs more room to breathe, leaving the background, like the video game, the scale that it is, and then just moving Arcadium down here will give it a nice margin at the top, you know, instead of just this little baby margin. Uh, it'll be similar to your margin at the bottom, and then you'll be able to make Arcadium bigger. So just play with it, see if you like it. The other thing would be putting Arcadium down here in the image itself and like pixelating it. You know what I mean? You could do something like that. Okay, then, okay, this is fine for the handbill. That's all right, this mock-up. You could also, I do recommend always for everybody to like crop in tight. We don't need like all this extra background, you know? So because the tighter you can crop in, the more we can see the details in your image. Okay, great, that's nice. Cool. Okay, so here's our front. Yeah, Arcadium's got to be a little bigger. So not bigger than the arcade tour, but bigger. Good. Okay, great. All right, so this looks good. Well, this is fun. Yeah, I love all this. This is great. If you do those little dots, oh, you know what you could do is, sorry, with the dots, instead of making them periods, they could be more like bullet points that go across, and they could look like, like the little pellets that Pac-Man bites. Like, don't add Pac-Man, obviously, but I think that it would be sort of a reference to the little Pac-Man trail, especially since you're using these really fun 8-bit fonts, I think it'd be cute. But obviously, do whatever you want to do. Good job here. Okay, this is perfect. The alignment in the center of each column and each row for this grid is perfect, and your trims look good. So when these do get cut, it looks like your margins are going to be the same on all four sides of each bill. So that's great work there. If you do change the design, obviously make sure it's reflected in the 4-up. And same with this. Good job. Excellent. That's the first totally correct one I've seen, I think. Nope, second. Okay, now here is the concert bill trimmed. Oh, that's fun. Looks great. That's great. This is a fun little thing. People will love to keep that ticket. Excellent. I think it's good. I was thinking about maybe like changing, like putting this here and then making your filling this in with this little image, but I think it's okay the way it is. All right. All right. And here's our VIP pass. Oh, that's fun. That's cute. All right. So I think instead of up here, we've got room to put it here. You know what I mean? So I think keeping this nice and big is great, as like this is the first thing you see. So as long as Arcadium stays smaller than the arcade tour, you're good to go. But you do have room, and this gets lost up there. Okay, great. Okay, so um, thank you for all of this work, and I do understand long rendering times from working with animation and video and graphics, like motion graphics. It's a real pain and a time sucker. So here is the deal, okay? You no longer need to create any new things in Blender. You have enough of a library of assets for this whole campaign for the rest of this course. So so no more time in Blender. You're done in there. You've created all you need to create. If you need to, so you're just going to recycle now the stuff that you've already created so that you can create brand recognition by using the same assets over and over, just on different mediums. So on a t-shirt, in a magazine layout, whatever it is that you choose to do for your final project, that kind of stuff. So uh, yeah, so then if you do want to change like what's on the monitor of the video game, just grab one of your other assets and paste it in there using Photoshop. Don't redo it in Blender, okay? Um, then um, But I mean, I love the work that you're doing in Blender. It's awesome. There's just what I'm getting at is no need to stress out over it anymore and pressure yourself to make new things. We're not looking for new things anymore, okay? We're just because that's how it is in the real world when we're working on a campaign. We are using the same assets over and over and over again to create brand recognition because our clients need to see things over and over again for it to stick. All right? So luckily, you have a lot of awesome things to work with. And you can even use the Blender stuff that you've made and just like get in there and crop parts out to use them for different designs. Okay. Awesome. Great work. Great job keeping everything consistent. It all looks really beautiful. Thank you. Next up is Sequi. All right. So here is our poster design. Great. Okay. So I may have you, when you take my portfolio class, if you take it with me, for your final graphic design portfolio, I'm probably going to have you crop this mock-up in real tight like this, just so that I can see your image as large as possible, to get all the details and stuff nice and big. Okay. Great. So this is a very gorgeous layout. I love the tape, the drawings of the flowers, all bringing back elements from the album cover. Very smart. The information hierarchy is completely clear. Um, and I love bringing in the pictures of the band. I think it looks so good. I also like this, not having a triptych that's exactly the same width, for all three, like making this one over here a little thinner is a really cool effect. And I love this font pairing is really nice. It's beautiful. Lovely. Good call to action. Really good. Really nice. I love the texture, all of it. Beautiful color palette. It's looking good. Great. This is perfect. Really good. Let me see them nice and big. Yeah, that background texture is so cool. I love it. Yeah, I think this is really nice. I love all the negative space. I love it. The only thing I think Tour could be a little closer to Remembrance, but I mean, come on. I'm just being nitpicky now. Same with here, maybe a little less line height, but I'm just being nitpicky. Okay, really good. Yeah, perfect. Perfect job. So your um each panel is like center aligned to each column and each row. So that means that your trim, when you trim it, all of the margins around each side are going to be equal. So that is perfect. Great job. Great choices on what to put on the back versus what to keep on front. I think that is excellent. Excellent. All right. Looks great. So simple. I love the texture again. Everything looks fantastic. Really good layout choices. This one is the only weird one here. So I don't know if you want to increase the font size to bring it down or increase your tracking a bit like you did here, or just center it. I think maybe increasing the font size. I know that, I don't know, because that might, oh, you know what you could do is center it and then you could put a little line on each side of it to kind of get it to get to the same margin as these other ones, or I guess as stage, or as this, how about this, of this line here. Okay, great, easy. You're the first sticker that we've had this semester. So easy. I love it. Everything is so simple and so beautiful. It's wonderful. Yeah, I love the touches of blue. I think that really, um, it really helps to bring in some visual contrast, against the sort of mauve, like really light, blushy background. And then the new photo is really cool. I love it. I think that you're doing a really good job of using all of your original elements. And it definitely is like a Swiss grit style. I think it's just like there's a lot of beautiful negative space, but you're giving us tons of texture at the same time, and it's using really great fonts. It's just all lovely. So I know that there wasn't like a lot of technical feedback here because there's nothing that you really need to change. It's all just you've made so many great choices in giving us a very intentional and clear visual information hierarchy. Um, all of your stuff is showing consistent branding, which is going to help with brand identity and help to create brand identity. You're just really sticking to your brand guide perfectly, and it's just all turning out great. Excellent work. Thank you so much. Next up is Shay. All right, here's our mock-up. That's a good one. So I may have you just go in and crop it right up like this because I want to see more of your poster than the rest of the mock-up. But yeah, that's only when you get into your portfolio class for your final portfolio of the program. So this turned out lovely. I love it. Really fun. Obviously, the color palette is going to grab anybody's eye. Creating like these vibrating, putting these vibrating colors next to each other is really, really nice. Your font treatment here is lovely. It looks so good. And same with here. Really nice, beautiful. Good font choices. This looks really good down here. And I think this could be a little closer together, like just reduce your line height there, but keep your baseline down here where you have it. I think that looks good. Hey, good job throwing that in there too. So you do have a bit of white from using this logo here, and there's no white anywhere else. So if you wanted to, you could just, if you don't have a version that doesn't have the white, just change your blending mode on that layer to multiply or overlay. See which one works better with the background color there. And then, but if you did want to add some white, you could drop in like a white drop shadow, not a literal drop shadow. What you do is duplicate Electric Marigold and then keep the top layer this blue and then change the bottom layer, the first electric marigold, to white. You could even do the same thing with the heat wave Reverie Tour if you felt like there was too much white up here, but you don't have to do it. All it will do though is create even more contrast to pull your eyes to those two chunks of text. So you might want to do it, give it a shot. You don't have to, whatever. Overall, this design is working as is, okay? I do like that you added the frame too. I think that's a nice the border there. Looks really good. And then here is our handbill. All right. Ooh, a new design. Okay. Let me move this over here. Oops, sorry. Scoochy, scoochy. Get over. I can't. Trying to show everybody the whole thing. Okay, there we go. So this is fun. Totally different. Don't kill me, but I'm thinking you should bring this text back in, this and this, because it is pretty different and it might be confusing with creating brand recognition. Okay. And then we have this one over here too. I don't think all of this information is necessary. Um, like you could get rid of Electric Marigold and the photo and just have the other information on here, okay? Do we have a name of a tour? Yes. We're also missing the Heat Wave Reverie Tour, unless, let me just go back and see if I didn't. Yeah. So we need to have that. So I would replace these two things with the Heat Wave Reverie Tour instead, and maybe even in the same font. So over here, we could just have Electric Marigold with this cool new photo and just drop the photo down, and so Electric Marigold in this psychedelic text that you had on your poster. Keep this fun, image because it's great. And then just put the tour name on the back and get rid of these two things. And you can keep these fonts that you're using because they're very 70s. So then once you do that, I need you to make your information hierarchy of your text just more obvious. I do like this, America's Rising Psychedelic. Instead of America's Rising Psychedelic Rock, maybe change this to band or include the word band, like rock band. I think first appearance in Las Vegas is a fun detail. Um, while these can be about the same size, live on stage does not need to be big. That could be smaller. And then these could be larger. Get Your Tickets Now could be a little smaller too. So just make sure you're making our eye go through the information in the order you want us to read it in. Okay? Great. Great. Okay. So when you export the handbill, make sure that in the PDF settings, you click on printer marks or something like that, and make sure that you check at the box that says include all printer marks, and then you check the box that says use document bleeds. Okay, and then that will show us the crop marks and the registration bars and all of I'm sorry, the crop marks, the color bars, and the registration um, little symbols there on both of them. All right. But as far as laying it out in the grid, you did that correctly. That's the each one is like center aligned in each column and each row. So that's perfect. You'll have the same size margins all the way around them. So good job there. This looks great. Looks good. I think you could fix some alignment here. So decide on if you want them to be left aligned with each other or centered align. Yeah, so just fix like whatever's happening here. This all looks very good. Really good. This all looks really good. Excellent. Easy. Good work. Perfect. All right. Oh, cute. Yeah, I'm gonna have you croppy crop way in. Beep. And so if you could actually find a VIP pass, like a a lanyard mock-up instead. Well, did they have lanyards back then? I guess they did. I can't remember. I don't know. I wasn't alive, but yeah, I'm thinking you might want more of a vertical, or you could do the sticker, the circle sticker. This would all fit in that circle sticker as well. This is cute. I like this. Yeah, I think that works. So just the dimensions of the pass are, this looks more like a business card, so I just want you to decide on a more traditional backstage pass if you could for your layout and your mock-up, okay? All right, great. Yeah, I'm happy with the concert poster too, and I think that the fonts you chose were great. I just want to make sure that your handbill stays a little more consistent with the poster design and that we are, you know, that you don't need, from this point forward, you don't need to keep coming up with like new ways to show the information as far as like new fonts, new effects, new things like that. You can just start to kind of recycle the assets that you've already created so that we will really drill in some brand recognition with your customers. Okay, excellent, great job. And I do love the texture too. Okay, great, thank you. All right, next up is Herman. Cool. These are great mock-ups. I love it. So usually I'm not a fan of mock-ups that cast shadows on your work, but since there's like three things that were, at least one of them we can see it unobstructed in all its glory, and you have another one here, then I'm totally satisfied with it. Okay? Like with keeping this one as another fun way to show your work. Great. Whoa. So this red against this green is so vibrating. It's like awesome. And I like that you stroked some of this text but then left like this stuff unstroked. Because notice once you stroke it, the vibration isn't as intense as it is down here. But it makes, like, I love your effect on the eye. It's really cool. And it's just like, it's like totally vibrating. So that turned out cool. I like too that you're able to bring this like floral pattern back in. That's really great. And it's so neat. It's so different from your logo. Well, I guess it's not so different. We're still using like some cool, melty text treatments. This is lovely. I like how the 1968 is kind of rotated. That looks really cool. And same with the word the. Really awesome. Beautiful work. This is cool. I think it was a really good idea to kind of give, so I can see like a double stroke here. You gave it a green stroke outside of the purple stroke, and that helps to separate that purple from the purple in the flower pattern, and that's a really smart decision there. And then I like this red outline here and like the line treatment, like the, not line treatment, line style. Is that what I'm looking for? Is that the word? Yeah, yeah, that works. Really nice job. All right, so then down here we're using some bright white text that's creating a lot of contrast, but I think that's good because that text is so small that we might never get to it if you don't create some visual contrast to pull our eye down there. Yeah, it's really cool. So I was I think the first thing my eye went to was his face, and that's just human nature. So whenever we're looking at a composition, we're either going to go to the whitest, I'm sorry, yeah, the whitest, brightest, most contrasty part of the image, the largest, boldest text, or a human face. Those are the three things. So you have it kind of all here. We've got this human face, obviously. We've got big, bold text. They're all like these three groups of text are competing for attention, but I think it's okay because I think I don't want you to make them any smaller at this point. Like they fit so nicely like a little puzzle in here. And then, like I mentioned, making this white down here is going to pull us away, reluctantly pull our eye away from everything that's happening up there. And then we're like, oh yeah, this information is important. I don't think you need ticket outlets. Or is there information missing? No, no, yeah. Okay, never mind. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. How about I'm wondering if you tried putting these two like down next to each other. Since you're writing the content, you could just delete one of these and be like, get your ticket at City Lights bookstore. You know what I mean? So consider that as because this isn't reading as part of this immediately. It takes a little work because there's a big gap and we're in two different columns. Okay, this is good. Okay, let's keep going. Great. Wow. Cool. This is a good layout. I mean, sorry, good mock-up. All right, so the front of the bill, this is going to get lost, just so you know. Um, oh wait, hold on. Did I just accidentally go backwards? I'm sorry. Good. Okay, you trimmed it off the front of the bill. This is way fun. I'm so glad you're having fun with all this psychedelic stuff. I can see it. This is cool. I'm happy to see all this here. God, could you imagine going to a concert for 350? Oh, that'd be the best. I love it. I love the tour dates. Really nice. This is great. I would keep this flyer and I would steal another one off the windshield of another car and I would hang them both on my wall as a kid. Really cool. So the good job. This is perfect. Perfect layout. Perfect job with your print marks. Yeah, great job on your hand, on your quarter up. All right. And this looks really good too. I'm glad to see. I like to see the logos on there and like the special text and stuff. All this font, these fonts are really great together, and I like the red. Yeah, totally different than the rest, isn't it? Great. I mean, you could just use that crazy red, but this red is more like the red from your album cover, so okay. Yeah, but the layout's all lovely. All right, good stuff. Hold on, let me see here. Yep, okay, everything's cool. My eyes are playing tricks on me. Sorry about that. What is this? Oh my God. This is brilliant. This is way cool. You're going to cause fights. People are going to be backstage fighting each other to collect all six of these. This is such a cool image, too. Wow. I love that skinny horse. Wow, this is so cool. What a good find. Good job on all of your collaging here. The colors are really fun, too. This is so different. It's like different, but not too far different. Like it's special different. I hope that makes sense. Like it's still, still part of the same artwork from the album. The colors are different, obviously, but it's still like within the same color family. It's really cool, really good. And I like how each card has something special. So you wouldn't be bummed out if you got this card and all it had was a horse hoof on it, because you get this little pile of skulls and everything. So really nice. This is so cool. I love it. Yay! Really great. Well, I really just love all of the thought that you put into all this, and I can really see that you're having so much fun with all of your work. I'm sure it's taking a very long time to do all this illustrating and collaging and researching. I really, really appreciate the amount of effort that you're putting into this. I do want you to know, like moving forward, I'm not expecting like brand new design assets. You've created a lot here that you can keep moving for, keep recycling onto new mediums. So if you want to keep going, like I don't want to, tell you not to make new stuff because obviously you're welcome to. If you're loving it and you have the time and energy, go for it. because you're doing a really good job with the new work that you're making to fit it into all of your branding. You know, you're keeping all your branding totally consistent, and your concept is very clear through all of it, you know. Um, so like I don't want to like stifle your creative drive. You're welcome to keep going. I'm just wanting you to know that a lot of times we have to keep showing a lot of the same things over and over again to create brand recognition. And so, yeah, and you know, the end of the semester is coming up. I know you have a lot of work. So anyway, I hope I made myself clear. I feel like I didn't say that right, but overall, like you can you have so many assets now that you can use those on your future designs and not have to come up with new work for the rest of the semester, just new ways of presenting these same assets. Okay? All right. Great. Thank you. Next up is Day. Great. This is a really nice mock-up. So usually with mock-ups, I don't like mock-ups that cast a shadow on your work. So after I just said it was a really nice mock-up, I saw the shadow. I'm like, no, it's not too bad though. Some of them are really bad, like it's like a tree branch covering the whole thing, you know. So this one's not too bad, but if you notice it now that I said it, feel free to change it. Otherwise, you don't need to change it. Okay, so here's the poster trimmed. I'm just going to zoom in here. This is so beautiful, this texture that you used. I love it. This is really neat. I love it's super 80s, first of all. Like it's super modern. This grid is really nice. I love the two color um, effect is beautiful. These very high contrast images are really nice. Like putting the logo on her face, way cool. I love the drippy paint, the pink wig. Like this is all really cool. Perfect. It's really great imagery. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, this is nice too. This like sort of like blinds, you know, the lines going down there, really cool. And this is lovely. I like the really tight tracking. That's pretty. And just changing the word paradise to pink. Beautiful. These are all really lovely, lovely choices. I like that. Nice. Really nice. Let me zoom back out. Cool. Okay. This mock-up, the dimensions don't look correct for a hand build. This looks like a different size page. So just a heads up there, you might be able to find one that's more accurate to the actual dimensions, you know. Um, I can see why you chose that mock-up though, but it's not really the right size. Okay. So with this one, I think you should get rid of the Wembley Arena and the date on the cover. But I do like that you cut down the amount of squares on your grid. And then, yeah, you definitely don't need those two things since we have them on the back. I would leave the name of the tour and all your other things on there. I think that's cool. But this is great. This is good information hierarchy as far as like this part, the tour being nice and big. I don't see, okay, so I think the Paradise needs to be the next largest font after this size here. I think that needs to be a little bit more obvious. So consider like moving the come see part up a bit. It could stay within this, you know, large margin that you've created on the front, you know, like you could have a big old 1 inch margin or so, however big that is. You know, I'm not saying move this all the way up here or anything goofy, but then consider maybe having your logo, like the Paradise logo, kind of big. It could be about 2/3 or half, like maybe to the X height line or a little bit higher, the word paradise itself, so that that shows us the next chunk of information you want the reader to see. There, like this alignment is just getting a little bit feeling more like, um, I don't know, like a table of contents in a textbook or something. I know that it's like very specific, but I understand what you're trying to do. Um, it's just not quite right yet. I think part of it has to do with because the text is different sizes, like Virgin Records, this part seems bigger than this, right? And I'm not quite sure why this is underlined, and then this one is like left aligned. So we're breaking the grid is getting a little messed up. I think that's what I'm struggling with. So let's do this. Um, Try drawing yourself a little rule of thirds grid that matches this one here. Okay. So you'll create your margins, like a margin window that's about this same size. You'll just do that over here. So you've sort of started doing that. This isn't going to be precise, right? Because I don't have any rulers or anything like that. But so this is the space you're working in. If you wanted to, you could have it come all the way down to here, something like that. But I think the way that I just did it was good. Let me try it again. Okay. So then divide this new margin area up into thirds. Have come see the blah, blah, blah up here in the top third. All right. So move it on up to touch that margin and increase it so that it touches the edges. Okay. And you can keep this left aligned. Then from there, you could have the paradise be almost exactly like it is right here in this center grid. Then down here, you could have 3 columns of text in the bottom third. And from there, you'll work with the Wembley Arena, the date and time, and the Virgin Records. You could say given to the taste and step into paradise. I do like that line. Maybe you could put that down here along the bottom, like how you have that here. That could be centered, running across all 3 columns. Okay, so give that a shot, see if you like it better. I think that'll be a little bit more of a clear information grid and without actually making lines and stuff, to keep it all in there. But yeah, okay. Cool. And then whatever changes you make, just apply it here. But this is pretty good. Just like the alignment of your each cell looks good. It's just that we need you to export it using all the printer marks and the document bleeds. So just recheck that part of the module where it shows you how to do that. Okay, so then you would have your trim lines, your bleeds of the document, your color bars, and your registration marks. Okay, excellent. Oh, this is totally different. Huh, hold on, let me go back. All right, so I know that the ticket can look completely different from the rest of the tour information because it's not usually made by the same people. Um, I was just surprised to see like this typewriter, like a grungy typewriter, when you have this super clean serif font everywhere else. The layout all looks good, and then the background texture is also confusing me just a little bit because everything else is so clean with just this grain texture. So you do not have to change anything because it wasn't a requirement, but for the sake of the whole body of work looking similar, you might want to just select all this text and change it to that same sans serif thin font that you're using, and maybe get rid of the background texture. Oh, I'm sorry. And play with some pink. You've got that pink, you know. Um, it's up to you. Like I said, this is a work. You don't have to change it. It's just up to you if you'd like to make it look more like the rest of the merchandise. Okay. Okay, great. This looks fantastic. I love it. So I do think. Hold on. Mm, consider flipping these words upside down because this is going to be hanging from somebody's neck and that part will be upside down. Okay, so just rotate it 180. Don't mirror it. But this is cool. I love this. I love this image option too. Really nice. I love it. Really good work. That's nice. Cute. Great. I'm so glad you had fun. I can tell you had fun. It's a really fun outcome. So I love the pink. Like the pink itself is just a super fun color, but the images that you chose, like it's all really cool, like super modern, super 80s. Just, I mean, it does look like it was made from that era. So success. Yeah, really nice job. Thank you so much, Day. Next up is Brianne. Awesome. Great. Let me just look at one more thing. Okay, cool. So, um, this is a nice mock-up. I just recommend not using mock-ups that have too many wrinkles in them. Like these two are getting pretty wrinkly. So you could just crop into this one like this, and that's plenty of a mock-up for me. Um, because I just don't want it to distract too much from all of your hard work and all the beautiful details. Okay, great. All right, so here is our poster. It's really nice. I love it. I love the grain. I love the two-tone in the photo. It turned out really nice. Um, and kind of this like the little bit of a tilt on the text is nice. The yellow looks good on the other two colors. Easy to read. The information hierarchy is pretty clear. So my eye goes to Pedal to the Metal and Raining Roses tour first, but I think that Raining Roses tour should be larger than December 28th. So that's the only thing. You have room to make it a little bit bigger, like make it almost as tall as the word the, and I'm sorry, as the words to the. I think that would be fine. And um, then make December 28th a little smaller. Yes, that's good. Great. So I was just reading on the fine print here. I recommend having your text wrap start here. So place your cursor before the word all and hit shift return to have it wrap after the comma. And then 100 or $1.50 handling charge per order by phone. You could make that even tinier, like even smaller fine print. Um, yeah, I think that would work out. And then everything else is good to go. So did you try? I'm also wondering if you tried to make this paper this yellow color, and how that looked, if it didn't create enough contrast for you or, something like that. You could also make the Raining Roses tour white instead if you wanted to keep this white part here. Just, playing with that. Great. Okay, so then these are good mock-ups. Um, all right, so for the front, mhm, mhm. Okay, so I really like what you did here, especially with this little album cover picture. I think that's really cool. I like that you're promoting the record here. You know what I mean? I think that's neat. Um, I was going to say, I don't think you need all of this info on the front, but then I noticed you don't have any of that info really on the back. So, you do need it there. So yeah, I think it's good. If just, whatever changes you make to the information hierarchy on your poster, be sure to make that here. This info hierarchy is good, and I love all these fun things. Maybe consider adding that this grain to this flower graphic in the background so that it feels less vectorish. Vector art is always like super clean like this, and they didn't really have that back then. You know what I mean? All right, great. Okay, so be sure to double check the four up how to make a 4-up layout in the module because these two are not the way to do it, okay? They're close, but not quite there yet, okay? All right, and then here's a fun ticket. I love this. Um, in my thesis when I was going to grad school at UNLV, I made these posters for my band that I had, and I cut our little heads out like this. Just reminded me of that exactly, and I love it. That's so great. This is cool. I like this layout and using these colors. I think instead of the pink to, I'm sorry, of the yellow to purple gradient, I recommend doing a pink to purple gradient. Using tertiary colors and gradients makes it so that there's no muddiness. When you jump across the color palette, you get a kind of muddiness or grayness that happens. Um, in during the blending part. Okay, so you could keep this part solid yellow, like this yellow here. Um, and then I keep this part purple and then go from a purple to pink gradient and then change this to the pink, just this one band here. Okay, I love these faces. I think it's great. Maybe put them a little closer together. I don't know, whatever. Okay, make them bigger. I love them. Okay. Then this is a good mock-up. I might have you in the portfolio class. I might have you like cut in a little bit more, not cut off the bottom like I did, but we just don't need all this extra negative space. We want to see this as big as possible. Okay. I love the photo grain effect. That's cool. That's nice. I love it. I love it. Really good. Really good. I think it's all perfect there. Good job. Nice. Well, I'm so happy that you got a bunch of inspirations from a bunch of awesome bands and all their artwork. That's really cool. Um, yeah, I feel like you really experimented a lot, in all of this and just you probably learned a lot in all that experimentation too, which is wonderful. I didn't even mention in the ticket how authentic it really does look as far as the layout goes and all of the information that you have here. So, because it looked so real, I just was like immediately getting into the gradient part. So good job there. You chose great fonts that work for the decade. And yeah, it's awesome. So really good job with your formatting and layout on those. And um, so from this point forward, you don't need to keep experimenting with new things. You have so many band assets here, like visual assets, that you can now just use to place them on the rest of the assignments for the most part. So like for your t-shirts, for example, like you have a bunch of stuff through here that you created that could all work for t-shirt designs. So no need for like brand new stuff. We just have to keep using the same stuff now for brand to create brand recognition with the fans and to make new fans. Okay. Excellent. Thanks so much, Brianne. Next up is Vanessa. All right. So here is our poster mock-up. So I'm not cuckoo about this poster mock-up um, because it doesn't really show like the scale and it doesn't showcase your design that great because there's like shadows being cast and stuff on there. So I'm always recommending people to, when it's something that's like big, like a poster, a 2 foot by 3 foot poster, try to find a mock-up that's going to sort of show that scale and that doesn't have shadows cast on there that's going to sort of distort the colors and design. Okay. All right. So here is our design. Great. I love their faces on here. And it's really reminiscent of the album cover design, so it's very consistent with your brand. So that's great. I like seeing this nice and big. Um, all the vibrating colors are very fun, and I like these little touches here. They're really cute. All right. So I think I'd like to see these girls even bigger. They're so cute. Um, and there's room. You have a lot of sort of negative space on here to work with. So what I'd like you to do for an even stronger composition is to give yourself some guides to break this up into the rule of thirds. So you're going to break it up into 3 vertical columns and then 3 horizontal columns, right? So then have the word concert drop down to this third section so that all of the information is on the bottom here. So it's going to be like concert, tickets, and the date, and at O'Neill Stadium with special guests. Okay. Then you're going to have these whole top 2/3 of this poster to play, and you could keep this stuff where it is here, and then just make these four girls nice and big across the center column or center row. You know what I mean? Then your information hierarchy will stay the same as far as like this nice, big, bright, bold Dreaming Stars logo. Instead of concert, though, can you change it to the name of their tour? So you have like the song that you made for your single. It could be you could name your tour after that song or one of the other songs or like a couple words from your lyrics sheet, like from in the middle of a song. So something like that. And or like Shooting Stars concert or not concert, sorry, tour. So we're getting rid of the word concert, replacing it with tour and giving the tour a name, okay? And then the text size, I think your text size could stay about this size. It might need to be a little smaller to fit all the words on there, but we want it to be the second largest text, from up here. So keep it yellow, keep it bright, keep it with the purple band behind it. I think that looks good. It helps with contrast. Um, If it's too hard to read as all caps, then consider changing it to where each word is capitalized, but the rest of the letters in there are lowercase. Okay. So then the tickets and the date, it could be, so whenever you're creating like rectangles to put text in, you want the rectangle to just be the size of the text itself. Like, um, meaning like the margin around the text is exactly the same either on all four sides or it's a little heavy on the bottom or it's a little heavier on the top, something like that. So like notice that these two boxes, well, I guess they're not the same size, are they? Stuff. Okay. I think that this information could go in the same box. So no two boxes, just one box, okay? And then make the box just fit that, hold on, I'm making that too small. Let me try it again. Like something like this, but then center that box up in the composition. Um, make September, um, you can probably spell that out and then put a comma after the 27th. Okay. And this text is going to end up being a little bit smaller. You're going to need something to separate the two. So you could put like a star between them, or a dot, something like that, right? Like a bullet point. And that's good. So then at On Air Stadium with special guests, the size of this is good. If your tour name gets smaller and gets close to this size, then this size of this text is going to need to get a little smaller so that you keep your information hierarchy completely clear of what people are supposed to read first, then second, then third, then fourth. Okay. And then, yeah, okay. So if you're not going to name the special guest on the on the poster, then change the word special to surprise guest. Okay. Excellent. I think that'll do it. You also have room, sorry, one more thing. You have room on these margins here. So if you need to go wider with your background design, you can. And then, yes, that's good. Okay, that's all I have to say. This sort of works for this handbill. I am the the mock-up itself is sort of like moody and like mysterious, and I'm not sure if it's like the right application for like a super fun psychedelic girl band. So see if you can find a different mock-up that's a little bit more similar to your concept, you know. All right, this works. Good. So just make sure your spelling is correct if we want to change that A to an S. This is cute though. I like this. Change September. I think you should say September 27th, comma, and then 1967. Make 1967 nice and big, and it can even curve along like with this uh, oval, but it doesn't have to. But make September 27th smaller. Make September lowercase except for the S and put a comma after 27th because that's correct grammar. Then over here, yeah, if you end up changing it to surprise guest, make sure you change it to surprise here. If unless you name the guest, make sure you have their name included. There's no need to include the date on the back, so get rid of that. And if you have the tickets as 750, make sure you include the 0, okay, instead of just 7.5. Same here, I forgot to say that here, okay? Great. And did you have something else? Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Nope, that's it. Honor Stadium. Okay. Do we have honor on here? Yes. Okay. Got it. Great. Good. Okay. So on the 4-ups, um, all 4 of these are going to be the same. So you're going to have one that is all the front, all 4 the front design, and then a second document that is all 4 the back design. So there should be 2 separate pages. Okay. But your alignment is correct, so that looks good. And your printer marks and color bars, all the registration marks are all good to go. So good job on your bleeds and everything there. Right, we have our ticket. When you do export this again in the future, can you do it as a little higher resolution image? Because this one has gotten really pixelated. It could just be part of the presentation because that looks really good there. I'm going to go ahead and look at this one because it's just a little crisper. This is cute. I love this. This is a great mock-up. I love all the records in the background. Really cool. Yeah, I like this. I mean, usually it will have more information. Does it have the location? Okay, it doesn't. And then this says $34, whereas the other one said 750. So just keep your information consistent and make sure to include the location. And I think you should also include the name of the tour on here too, okay? Great. I love the colors very much. Really cool and really cool mock-up. That's awesome. So if you generated this mock-up in AI, you could generate those mock-ups for those other 2 as well, this, similar way. Okay. All right, cute. So I think that, let me see your mock. Oh my gosh, cute. Okay, so this mock-up, while cute, is has an 80s background as opposed to the 70s background. So I'm not crazy about that. I wanted you to stay in the same era. And the dimensions are not correct. This is like a gigantic card, whereas a VIP pass is going to be about like bigger than a credit card, but not as like the size of a playing card. Okay, that's about right. So just a heads up there. Okay, and then the lanyard is kind of cute, but it's creating a whole new thing that you didn't create. I don't think like this text here with the stroke on it, and so I don't know. It got a little away from you. But as far as the layout goes, it's working. I think it's cute. Good job. So yeah, you're right. Once your assets are made, it's really just a matter of kind of like remixing them and laying them out in new formats and onto new dimensions and stuff. So good job there. I love the new addition of the little heads. So if you have more of those girls, I think moving forward, use them as much as possible because people love seeing other people. Like they're just, it's human nature to be attracted to faces when we're looking at advertisements and things like that. Okay. All right. Great work. Thank you so much, everybody. This was a blast.